Benin, officially the Republic of Benin, is a country in West Africa. It is bordered by Togo to the west, by Nigeria to the east and by Burkina Faso and Niger to the north. A majority of the population live on its small southern coastline on the Bight of Benin, part of the Gulf of Guinea in the northernmost tropical portion of the Atlantic Ocean. The capital of Benin is Porto-Novo, but the seat of government is in Cotonou, the country's largest city and economic capital. Benin covers an area of approximately 115,000 square kilometers, with a population of approximately 9.98 million. Benin is a tropical, sub-Saharan nation, highly dependent on agriculture, with substantial employment and income arising from subsistence farming. The official language of Benin is French. However, indigenous languages such as Fon and Yoruba are commonly spoken. The largest religious group in Benin is Roman Catholicism, followed closely by Islam, though done in Protestantism. Benin is a member of the United Nations, the African Union, the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, South Atlantic Peace and Cooperation Zone, La Francophonie, the Community of Sahel-Saharan States, the African Petroleum Producers Association and the Niger Basin Authority. From the 17th to the 19th century, the main political entities in the area were the Kingdom of Dahomey along with the city-state of Porto-Novo and a large area with many different tribes to the north. This region was referred to as the Slave Coast from as early as the 17th century due to the large number of slaves shipped to the New World during the transatlantic slave trade. After slavery was abolished, France took over the country and renamed it French Dahomey. In 1960, Dahomey gained full independence from France, and had a tumultuous period with many different democratic governments, many military coups and military governments. A Marxist-Leninist state called the People's Republic of Benin existed between 1972 and 1990. In 1991, it was replaced by the current multi-party Republic of Benin. Etymology: during the colonial period and at independence, the country was known as Dahomey. It was renamed on November 30, 1975, to Benin after the body of water on which the country lies, the Bight of Benin, which, in turn, had been named after the Benin Empire. The country of Benin has no connection to Benin City in modern Nigeria, nor to the Benin Bronzes. The new name, Benin, was chosen for its neutrality. Dahomey was the name of the former Kingdom of Dahomey, which covered only most of the southern third of the present country and therefore did not represent Porto-Novo, the northwestern sector Atakara, nor the Kingdom of Borgu, which covered the northeastern third. History. Pre-colonial history: the capital's name Porto-Novo is of Portuguese origin meaning new port. It was originally developed as a port for the slave trade. The current country of Benin combines three areas which had different political and ethnic systems prior to French colonial control. Before 1700, there were a few important city-states along the coast and a mass of tribal regions inland. The Oyo Empire, located primarily to the east of modern Benin, was the most significant large-scale military force in the region, and it would regularly conduct raids and exact tribute from the coastal kingdoms and the tribal regions. The situation changed in the 1600s and early 1700s as the Kingdom of Dahomey, which was of the Fon ethnicity, was founded on the Abomey Plateau and began taking over areas along the coast. By 1727, King Agajai of the Kingdom of Dahomey had conquered the coastal cities of Alida and Datar, but it had become a tributary of the Oyo Empire and did not directly attack the Oyo-allied city-state of Porto-Novo. The rise of the Kingdom of Dahomey, the rivalry between the kingdom and the city of Porto-Novo, and the continued tribal politics of the northern region. This ethnic and political division persisted into the colonial and post-colonial periods. The Dahomey Kingdom was known for its culture and traditions. Young boys were often apprenticed to older soldiers, and taught the kingdom's military customs until they were old enough to join the army. Dahomey was also famous for instituting an elite female soldier corps, called Ahasi, that is the king's wives or minnow, are mothers in the Fon language Fongbi, and known by many Europeans as the Dahomey Amazons. This emphasis on military preparation and achievement earned Dahomey the nickname of Black Sparta from European observers and 19th-century explorers like Sir Richard Burton, the kings of Dahomey sold their war captives into transatlantic slavery. Otherwise the captives would have been killed in a ceremony known as the annual customs. By about 1750, the king of Dahomey was earning an estimated £250,000 per year by selling Africans to the European slave traders. Though the leaders of Dahomey appeared initially to resist the slave trade, it flourished in the region of Dahomey for almost 300 years, leading to the area being named the Slave Coast. Court protocols, which demanded that a portion of war captives from the kingdom's many battles be decapitated, decreased the number of enslaved people exported from the area. The number went from 102,000 people per decade in the 1780s to 24,000 per decade by the 1860s. The decline was partly due to the banning of the transatlantic slave trade by Britain and other countries. This decline continued until 1885, when the last slave ship departed from the coast of the present-day Benin Republic bound for Brazil. Colonial Period. By the middle of the 19th century, Dahomey started to lose its status as the regional power. This enabled the French to take over the area in 1892. In 1899, the French included the land called French Dahomey within the French West Africa colony. In 1958, France granted autonomy to the Republic of Dahomey, and full independence as of August 1, 1960. The president who led them to independence was Hubert Maga. Post-colonial period. For the next 12 years, ethnic strife contributed to a period of turbulence. There were several coups and regime changes, with four figures domination Hubert Maga, Soro Apathy, Justin Ahomedegba copyright, and Emile Delenzinso the first three each representing a different area and ethnicity of the country. These three agreed to form a presidential council after violence marred the 1970 elections. On May 7, 1972, Maga turned over power to Ahomedegba. On October 26, 1972, Lieutenant Colonel Matthew Carr copyright coup overthrew the ruling triumvirate, becoming president and stating that the country will not burden itself by copying foreign ideology, and wants neither capitalism, communism, nor socialism. On November 30, however, he announced that the country was officially Marxist, under the control of the Military Council of the Revolution, which nationalized the petroleum industry and banks. On November 30, 1975, he renamed the country to the People's Republic of Benin. In 1979, the CNR was dissolved, and Carr copyright coup arranged show elections where he was the only allowed candidate. Establishing relations with the People's Republic of China, North Korea, and Libya, he put nearly all businesses and economic activities under state control, causing foreign investment in Benin to dry up. Carr copyright coup attempted to reorganize education, pushing his own aphorisms such as poverty is not a fatality, resulting in a mass exodus of teachers, along with a large number of other professionals. The regime financed itself by contracting to take nuclear waste first from the Soviet Union and later from France. In 1980, Carr copyright coup converted to Islam and changed his first name to Ahmed, then changed his name back after claiming to be a born-again Christian. In 1989, riots broke out after the regime did not have money to pay its army. The banking system collapsed. Eventually Carr copyright coup renounced Marxism and a convention forced Carr copyright coup to release political prisoners and arrange elections. Marxism-Leninism was also abolished as the nation's form of government. The name of the country was officially changed to the Republic of Benin on March 1, 1990, once the newly formed country's constitution was complete. In 1991, Carr copyright coup was defeated by Nika copyright Forsoglo, and became the first black African president to step down after an election. Carr copyright coup returned to power after winning the 1996 vote. In 2001, a closely fought election resulted in Carr copyright coup winning another term, after which his opponents claimed election irregularities. In 1999, Carr copyright coup issued a national apology for the central role Africans played in the Atlantic slave trade. Ra copyright Glu and former President Soglo did not run in the 2006 elections, as both were barred by the Constitution's restrictions on age and total terms of candidates. On March 5, 2006, an election was held that was considered free and fair. It resulted in a runoff between Yari Boni and Adrian Hungba copyright G. The runoff election was held on March 19, and was won by Boni, who assumed office on April 6. The success of the fair multi-party elections in Benin won praise internationally. Boni was re-elected in 2011, taking 53.18% of the vote in the first round, enough to avoid a runoff election, becoming the first president to win an election without a runoff since the restoration of democracy in 1991. Politics. Benin's politics take place in a framework of a presidential representative democratic republic, where the President of Benin is both head of state and head of government, within a multi-party system. Executive power is exercised by the government. Legislative power is vested in both the government and the legislature. The judiciary is independent of the executive and the legislature. The political system is derived from the 1990 Constitution of Benin and a subsequent transition to democracy in 1991. Benin scored highly in the 2013 Ibrahim Index of African Governance, which comprehensively measures the state of governance across the continent. Benin was ranked 13th out of 52 African countries, and scored particularly well in the categories of safety and rule of law and participation and human rights. In its 2007 Worldwide Press Freedom Index, Reporters Without Borders ranked Benin 53rd out of 169 countries. Benin has been rated equal 88th out of 159 countries in a 2005 analysis of police, business and political corruption. Departments and communes. Benin is divided into 12 departments which, in turn, are subdivided into 77 communes. In 1999, the previous 6 departments were each split into 2 halves, forming the current 12. The 6 new departments have not yet been assigned official capitals. Alabari, Atakara, Atlantique, Borga, Collins, Donga, Kufo, Lisseral, Mono, Our Copyright Ma Copyright, Plateau, Zor, Geography. Benin, a narrow, north-south strip of land in West Africa, lies between the equator and the Tropic of Cancer. Benin lies between latitudes 6° and 13° N, and longitude 0° and 4° E. Benin is bounded by Togo to the west, Burkina Faso and Niger to the north, Nigeria to the east, and the Bight of Benin to the south. With an area of 112,622 km², Benin extends from the Niger River in the north to the Atlantic Ocean in the south, a distance of 650 km. Although the coastline measures 121 km, the country measures about 325 km at its widest point. It is one of the smaller countries in West Africa, 1/8 the size of Nigeria, its neighbor to the east. It is, however, twice as large as Togo, its neighbor to the west. Benin shows little variation in elevation and can be divided into 4 areas from the south to the north, starting with the low-lying, sandy, coastal plain, which is, at most, 10 km wide. It is marshy and dotted with lakes and lagoons communicating with the ocean. Behind the coast lies the Guinean forest savanna mosaic-covered plateaus of southern Benin, which are split by valleys running north to south along the Kufo, Zor, and Uim rivers. Then an area of flat lands dotted with rocky hills whose altitude seldom reaches 400 am extends around Niki and Save. Finally, a range of mountains extends along the northwest border and into Togo. This is the Atakora, with the highest point, Mont Sokbera, at 658 am. Benin has fields of lying fallow, mangroves, and remnants of large sacred forests. In the rest of the country, the savanna is covered with thorny scrubs and dotted with huge baobab trees. Some forests line the banks of rivers. In the north and the northwest of Benin, the reserve du Niger and Penjari National Park attract tourists eager to see elephants, lions, antelopes, hippos, and monkeys. Pendjari National Park together with the bordering parks Ali and W in Burkina Faso and Niger is one of the most important strongholds for the endangered West African lion. With an estimated 356 lions, Ali Pendjari harbors the largest remaining population of lions in West Africa. Historically, Benin has served as habitat for the endangered painted hunting dog, Lichen pictus. However, this canid is thought to have been locally extirpated. Benin's climate is hot and humid. Annual rainfall in the coastal area averages 1,300 mm or about 51 inches. Benin has 2 rainy and 2 dry seasons per year. The principal rainy season is from April to late July, with a shorter less intense rainy period from late September to November. The main dry season is from December to April, with a short cooler dry season from late July to early September. Temperatures and humidity are high along the tropical coast. In Cotonou, the average maximum temperature is 31 degrees Celsius. The minimum is 24 degrees Celsius. Variations in temperature increase when moving north through a savanna and plateau toward the Sahel. A dry wind from the Sahara called the harmattan blows from December to March, during which grass dries up, the vegetation turns reddish-brown, and a veil of fine dust hangs over the country, causing the skies to be overcast. It also is the season when farmers burn brush in the fields. Economy. The economy of Benin is dependent on subsistence agriculture, cotton production, and regional trade. Cotton accounts for 40% of GDP and roughly 80% of official export receipts. Growth in real output has averaged around 5% in the past 7 years, but rapid population growth has offset much of this increase. Inflation has subsided over the past several years. Benin uses the CFA franc, which is pegged to the euro. Benin, a euro unregistered trademark S economy, has continued to strengthen over the past years, with real GDP growth estimated at 5.1 and 5.7% in 2008 and 2009, respectively. The main driver of growth is the agricultural sector, with cotton being the counter-euro unregistered trademark S main export, while services continue to contribute the largest part of GDP largely because of Benin, a euro unregistered trademark S geographical location, enabling trade, transportation, transit and tourism activities with its neighboring states. In order to raise growth still further, Benin plans to attract more foreign investment, place more emphasis on tourism, facilitate the development of new food processing systems and agricultural products, and encourage new information and communication technology. Projects to improve the business climate by reforms to the land tenure system, the commercial justice system, and the financial sector were included in Benin's $307 million Millennium Challenge account grant signed in February 2006. The Paris Club and bilateral creditors have eased the external debt situation, with Benin benefiting from a G8 debt reduction announced in July 2005, while pressing for more rapid structural reforms. An insufficient electrical supply continues to adversely affect Benin's economic growth, though the government recently has taken steps to increase domestic power production. Although trade unions in Benin represent up to 75% of the formal workforce, the large informal economy has been noted by the International Trade Union Confederation to contain ongoing problems, including a lack of women's wage equality, the use of child labor, and the continuing issue of forced labor. Benin is a member of the Organization for the Harmonization of Business Law in Africa. Cotonou harbors the country's only seaport and international airport. A new port is currently under construction between Cotonou and Porto-Novo. Benin is connected by 2-lane asphalted roads to its neighboring countries. Mobile telephone service is available across the country through various operators. ADSL connections are available in some areas. Benin is connected to the Internet by way of satellite connections and a single submarine cable SAT-3/WASC, keeping the price of data extremely high. Relief is expected with initiation of the Africa Coast to Europe cable in 2011. Currently, about a third of the population live below the international poverty line of $1.25 per day. Demographics. The majority of Benin's population lives in the south. The population is young, with a life expectancy of 59 years. About 42 African ethnic groups live in this country. These various groups settled in Benin at different times and also migrated within the country. Ethnic groups include the Yoruba in the southeast, the Dendi in the north-central area, the Bariba and the Fula in the northeast, the Beta Maribe and the Somba in the Atakora range, the Fun in the area around Abomey in the south-central and the Minor, Xwida, and Ajah on the coast. Recent migrations have brought other African nationals to Benin that include Nigerians, Togolese, and Malians. The foreign community also includes many Lebanese and Indians involved in trade and commerce. The personnel of the many European embassies and foreign aid missions and of non-governmental organizations and various missionary groups account for a large part of the 5,500 European population. A small part of the European population consists of Beninese citizens of French ancestry, whose ancestors ruled Benin and left after independence. Largest cities, health. During the 1980s, less than 30% of the population had access to primary health care services. Benin had one of the highest death rates for children under the age of 5 in the world. Its infant mortality rate stood at 203 deaths for every 1,000 live births. Only 1 in 3 mothers had access to child health care services. The Bamako initiative changed that dramatically by introducing community-based healthcare reform, resulting in more efficient and equitable provision of services. A comprehensive approach strategy was extended to all areas of healthcare, with subsequent improvement in the healthcare indicators and improvement in healthcare efficiency and cost. Demographic and Health Surveys has completed 3 surveys in Benin since 1996. Culture, arts. Beninese literature had a strong oral tradition long before French became the dominant language. Félix Coucharo wrote the first Beninese novel, L'Esclave in 1929. Post-independence, the country was home to a vibrant and innovative music scene, where native folk music combined with Ghanaian highlife, French cabaret, American rock, funk and soul, and Congolese rumba. Singer Anga copyright Likido and actor Jim Enhancer were both born in Cotonou, Benin. Filmmaker and actor Didier Chabi was born in Kandy, Benin. Composer Wally Badaro and singer Gnonas Pedro are also of Beninese descent. Biennale Benin, continuing the projects of several organizations and artists started in the country in 2010 as a collaborative event called Regard Benin. In 2012, the project became a biennial coordinated by the Consortium, a federation of local associations. The International Exhibition and Artistic Program of the 2012 Biennale Benin is curated by Abdella Karoum and the curatorial delegation. Customary names. Many Beninois in the south of the country have Akan-based names indicating the day of the week on which they were born. This is due to influence of the Akan people, likely the Okwamu and others. Language. Local languages are used as the languages of instruction in elementary schools, with French only introduced after several years. In wealthier cities, however, French is usually taught at an earlier age. Beninese languages are generally transcribed with a separate letter for each speech sound, rather than using diacritics as in French or digraphs as in English. This includes Beninese Yoruba, which in Nigeria is written with both diacritics and digraphs. For instance, the mid-vowels written a copywriter, A, O in French are written E, O, E in Beninese languages, whereas the consonants written ng and sh or ch in English are written angstrom and c. However, digraphs are used for nasal vowels and the labial velar consonants kp and gb, as in the name of the fun language funk b/far micron enb/, and diacritics are used as tone marks. In French language publications, a mixture of French and Beninese orthographies may be seen. Religion. In the 2002 census, 42.8% of the population of Benin were Christian, 24.4% were Muslim, 17.3% practiced Vodun, 6% other traditional local religious groups, 1.9% other religious groups, and 6.5% claim no religious affiliation. Indigenous religions include local animistic religions in the Atakara and Vodun and Orisha or Orisa veneration among the Yoruba and Tado peoples in the center and south of the country. The town of Awada on the central coast is the spiritual center of Beninese Vodun. The major introduced religions are Christianity, followed throughout the south and center of Benin and in Otomari country in the Atakara, and Islam, introduced by the Songhai Empire and Hausa merchants, and now followed throughout Alabari, Bolga, and Donga provinces, as well as among the Yoruba. Many, however, continue to hold Vodun and Orisha beliefs and have incorporated the pantheon of Vodun and Orisha into Christianity. The Ahmadiyya Muslim community, a sect originating in the 19th century, is also present, in a significant minority. Education. The literacy rate in Benin is among the lowest in the world. In 2010 it was estimated to be 42.4%. Although at one time the education system was not free, Benin has abolished school fees and is carrying out the recommendations of its 2007 Educational Forum. Cuisine. Beninese cuisine is known in Africa for its exotic ingredients and flavorful dishes. Beninese cuisine involves lots of fresh meals served with a variety of key sauces. In southern Benin cuisine, the most common ingredient is corn, often used to prepare dough which is mainly served with peanut or tomato-based sauces. Fish and chicken are the most common meats used in southern Beninese cuisine, but beef, goat, and bush rat are also consumed. The main staple in northern Benin is yams, often served with sauces mentioned above. The population in the northern provinces use beef and pork meat which is fried in palm or peanut oil or cooked in sauces. Cheese is used in some dishes. Couscous, rice, and beans are commonly eaten, along with fruit such as mangoes, oranges, avocados, bananas, kiwi fruit, and pineapples. Meat is usually quite expensive, and meals are generally light on meat and generous on vegetable fat. Frying in palm or peanut oil is the most common meat preparation, and smoked fish is commonly prepared in Benin. Grinders are used to prepare corn flour, which is made into a dough and served with sauces. Chicken on the spit is a traditional recipe in which chicken is roasted over fire on wooden sticks. Palm roots are sometimes soaked in a jar with salt water and sliced garlic to tenderize them, then used in dishes. Many people have outdoor mud stoves for cooking. See also, Outline of Benin, Index of Benin-related articles, List of countries with multiple capitals, Benin at Wikipedia Books, References. Further reading, Butler, S., Benin. Caulfield, Annie, Show Me the Magic, Travels Round Benin by Taxi. Krause, Erica and Reed, Fell Ice, Benin. Seeley, Jennifer, The Legacies of Transition Governments in Africa, The Cases of Benin and Togo. External links, Country profile from BBC News. Benin entry at the World Factbook, Benin from UCB Libraries GovPubs. Benin at DMOZ, Commons, Atlas of Benin, Benin Exports, Forecasts for Benin Development, article on the traditional dwelling called Atata Somba, Government, French, Government of Benin. Chief of State and Cabinet Members, Global Integrity Report, Benin, News Media, Directory of Benin News Sources from Stanford University. Education, Benin Education Fund. Travel, Benin Travel Guide from Word Travels, Trade, World Bank Benin 2010 Summary Trade Statistics.